Recording in progress.
Good evening. I'd like to call to order the Town of Ulysses Planning Board meeting for April 1, 2025. First order is a roll call of board member.
Linda Little.
Carl Kankowski, Chair.
Simon Bernard.
Bo Klein. Since Mo has been out for a good bit of the discussion on a couple items tonight there, I'd like to bring Simon in as a voting member.
Yeah, I'm gonna recuse myself from that section there.
I have a motion to make him a voting member.
I'll move.
All right.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. It's a little odd, but we need the extra body in there, so.
Yeah.
For tonight's agenda, we have the following items, town board member reports. See them yet, but if they're here, we will go with it. Approval of the 18 March meeting minutes, privilege of the floor. For old business items, we have the following, Halseyville Road rezone request and town board resolution 2025-58 regarding proposed land donation with related minor subdivision and comment letter on the full environmental assessment form. For new business, I don't think it made it. We were supposed to get a response from Nate on the streams and DEC stuff. Jeff and I talked to him about it a week ago, Monday. It hasn't come in yet. When it does, we will get it out to all the members and let you review it. And then we'll try and schedule an attorney-client privilege before one of our meetings to give you an opportunity to ask questions and that.
Right.
Anyway, we'll continue to watch that and hopefully get it in the next couple of weeks here. Then board member and staff reports. Any discussion or amendments?
Make a motion.
All
I'll second it.
right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right. Has everyone reviewed the draft minutes for the 18 March meeting? Mo, you were pointing out a couple
Yes.
corrections.
There's two things that my name was in and I wasn't here. Just in spirit. Approve of the agenda. My name is there for an aye, for a yes. And approve of the last minutes. My name is there. So just take them out.
Any other changes?
Nope.
Motion to approve with correction.
Make that motion.
All right,
Second.
all right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right. Privilege of the floor is a portion of our board meeting where members of the public may make general comments on items that are not related to items on tonight's agenda. Public comments are limited to 3 minutes in length. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to address the board on items not on tonight's agenda? This is should we give them the opportunity now, even though we're going to, or later when we get to the items?
Either one.
Yeah, since we're not having a hearing, we should
Right,
probably give them the chance to,
no,
no.
yeah, all right.
Right.
We're just gonna, even though I suspect most of you are here on the possible land donation. So we would like to give you an opportunity here. We'll just do it as under the privilege of the floor part rather than trying to tie it later. If that's okay.
I would, may I? I'm Diane Beta, and I live on Cold Springs Road.
Come on,
I go on this- Oh, boy. I'm Diane Van, and I want to acknowledge that Marvin Fritz's donation is like huge, right? You know, everybody knows recreational and that type of land is valuable for everybody in the community. We are upset though, because it's right on our country road that's really quiet. And I have to think that any one of you or anybody in the community who had a piece of land like ours did, like ours are, and we would stand to lose that privacy and have it become very loud. That's a big deal to us. And I'm sure if I drove around to any of your properties and you had the same thing coming in right next to you, I don't think you would be all that pleased. And moreover, the land is somewhat landlocked and they want to go through a very narrow piece of property to get to it. And it's gonna be knocking down trees and really taking away the privacy of a few of the properties right there. And I do believe there may be a couple of other places they could put in an entrance. And if it were to go through, I also think that the part that is back by the houses, that they should allow the owners to just buy parcels right by the edge so that they can have privacy and put in some trees. Because otherwise their privacy is stolen. And I said before at another meeting that, well, it would be everybody else's gain. Like we really lose. And I don't want to be, we don't want to be, you know, just forgotten or, you know, or ignored or taken for granted.
Sure.
So thank you.
Your address, please.
5271 Cold Springs Road.
5271. I'm trying to figure out the neighbors and that's why I asked specifically. Okay,
I'm Tyler Sherman, 5250 Cold Springs Road. I'm the one that's been on all the Zoom calls, so I just wanted to come and meet you all in person. We continue to appreciate you taking everything into consideration. It's not something we think fits in this location. So I'm just gonna be here. If you guys have any questions, you know, I like to raise my hand and offer any insight or anything that you have on the property as we go through it. So nice to meet you all in person.
I have a question.
Yeah.
5250 is, that's where it's going, the road is going through.
5230 is where the road actually goes through.
Well, in between 5250 and 5230.
Yes,
Correct.
That's
On
the-
On our property line. And again, I'd like to extend the invitation to anybody to please come out and check it out because I think there's
Yeah.
still some confusion on exactly where things are gonna be.
Yeah.
And we'd love to have you walk the property line and kind of truly see it and, you know, make a determination for yourself. So I'm not always in town, but my dad is here. He's always in town. We can leave contact information and be happy to show you. He takes care of our property. Thanks.
how deep are your lots there from
Um,
the road back?
I don't know the exact number. We're on just shy of 2 acres right there. So it goes all the way back to where we meet the cornfield that's back there, but I can get that number for you too.
Yeah, I just, in relation to Diane's comment about trees and stuff in between there. You know, if you're talking a 350 to 400 foot deep lot.
No.
And the houses are up near the road up there.
They, Mark Sherman, I'm just dad, I take care of the
Yeah.
place.
Okay,
Yeah, it's hard to find.
I invited the zoning board or whatever, anybody to come out, you physically need to see where they wanna put this, and they're gonna go for a variance because they haven't got enough width.
Tell them the feet. How many
Yeah.
feet?
They need 50 foot, and they've only got 38 to keep this rental property of Fritz's legal, and you know, the term driveway's an understatement of what they're gonna need for this facility. It's gonna have to be a roadway. And 38 foot isn't much, and the property bin is realistically here, and that wall over there is his garage and driveway and where we. So you really need to stand on the property to see the impact.
Mhm.
So I will leave information. I'm a phone call away from meeting anybody or anybody anytime, just to give you a physical visual. So thank you.
thank you. Board members, any other questions?
So most of the houses, what's the frontage on your houses right there? Is it a
Excuse me?
200 foot? What's the frontage?
The frontage, the foot frontage,
Yeah, is it about 200?
I'm guessing, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I
without
thought.
looking at the map.
It's from the old zoning requirements for that area.
What?
That's what I was thinking.
Like I say, that's part of this variance. And,
Right.
to keep Fritz's property legal, let's say.
Right. Yeah,
And they're gonna have to move the septic and everything, and that's whatever, the town's paying for all that, but just, we're kind of here, he wanted to introduce, he's been on and.
Yeah.
Just
See
to sit and
me raise
listen,
my
so,
hand a lot.
huh?
You didn't see me raise my.
So thanks.
different looking hand. though.
That property is yours.
Yes.
You own the property?
My partner and I do,
Okay.
yes.
I don't see anybody online. Anybody else?
I was just gonna say, Carl.
Yeah.
To your question. Tax map numbers aren't survey quality, but depth wise, we're looking at roughly 360 feet. And per question, the lots are 200.
That's what I figured. Yeah. So,
Thank you.
Where's that?
Thank you for listening.
Tax maps, yeah, county.
Okay.
I think that takes any other comments in the room. I don't see anybody online. Motion to close privilege of the floor. All in
Second.
favor?
I,
Right. All right, where are we at here? For old business items, we have the Halseyville Road rezone request. A proposal to rezone subject property located at 2012 Trumansburg Road from Development District 3 Bar Restaurant Trailers to AR Agricultural Rural or R Residential on the western portion of the lot and to B1 Business on the eastern portion of the lot. Planning Board met on March 4th and March 18th to hear the applicant's proposal and to deliberate. Board members, do you have any outstanding questions for Mr. Doolittle? Here. You have any? Niels has put together a draft resolution for us based on all the comments that we submitted. So. Should we go through that draft resolution essentially line by line to give board members an opportunity if you have questions or comments? Is that, I think, the right way to do it?
You can do it.
well, we've all
That's
had
a
a
little long.
chance to see what
Yeah.
everybody suggested, and this is a rack up of
Of
everything
that,
that we submitted. I don't know that we need to, since this won't be our first.
right.
right?
When the land actually gets divided and that sort of stuff, and he goes to build something on it, it's gonna cycle back around.
Yeah.
And this is a recommendation. It's not a decision I think under 78. So
Right,
Yeah,
So this is the recommendation we provide to the town board.
yes,
right. So the critical one is maybe the last one for the record.
yeah.
and The now therefore, yeah.
Right.
That resolution public or that just the board members have it? I haven't seen it.
Yeah, currently just board members. Can print you a copy or we can read it on the record if you want.
Curious what's that. Summary would be fine, I don't think, it looks fairly lengthy, so a summary would be, it's fine.
It's got a lot of comments that
Yeah.
are similar.
So what you're at, yeah, what Linda was talking about, the last portion of the resolution. Where the planning board resolves, that's essentially your summation.
Of our recommendation to the town. All right, so where do I need to pick up your Neil's?
Page 6.
I don't think I need a motion to move, right? We already had the discussion, is that the right way?
I was chatting with Carl earlier, so had a fun walkie discussion with some planners last week on process, especially with Robert's Rules of Order. and the fun that public hearings are going through. And so one of the things that we've been doing lately is when you get to a resolution, there's a motion to approve that resolution and then you discuss it. It's a little bit of a better practice to make a motion to move it and then second it. And you don't need to call a vote for that. It's just to get it onto the table.
Right,
You're not making an actual motion to approve it, so that where this comes into play for more lengthy ones like this, or if something's contentious, is for if a board member, for example, I'm just gonna say Linda wants to make an amendment or make a motion to amend the first whereas, you would make that after it's been moved,
during the discussion,
and if it gets
Yeah.
seconded, then you can discuss it and then vote on it.
okay,
And then if someone makes a motion to say delete the second whereas, and it doesn't get seconded, then it just kind of fails. And you just go through that as you need. And then finally, once you're all done with all that fun stuff, then you make a motion to approve it.
okay.
All right, we'll give it a shot. All right.
So we have to have a motion to move
Well,
the proposal.
well, I'll make a motion to move the resolution to the floor.
Okay,
Yeah.
second.
All right. So. And then. Any additional discussion, or any particular objections to paragraphs in it? This is really your opportunity.
All the way through
What? Take your time.
the last paragraph.
Okay,
It's now therefore, paragraph 2, last line, last sentence. Between the word indicate and a, should there be the word that?
Say that one more time.
Between the word indicate and a, should there be the word at that?
I'm still trying to, you're in paragraph 2 of that one?
Yes, or last sentence.
Oh, okay.
That,
To indicate a
Yes,
resign.
it has been at this time to indicate, that a instead of a rezone.
Yes.
Yeah.
Probably.
I'll go along with that.
Okay,
so what are we asking the town board to do then?
essentially to convert the whole property to R. As a zone, make it all residential. And then I'll read through the details in here and then we'll get you a copy because the problem with the B1 trying to move it to that is it doesn't fit with the comp plan. And we don't really have justification enough to try and override or make a recommendation to override the comp plan. Future land use plan to try and make that part B1.
Okay.
That's really, I think what's driving this is as best I could pull it out of there.
So that means the rezone, and then we would be able to permit.
Yeah, when he comes back
Back,
to
yeah.
actually separate the individual house lots in that side over there. It's gonna get circled back around as a major land division anyway. And there'll be like a second cut at it there, I think.
No, I mean,
Oh.
when the recreation building goes in, it would require a permit.
Yeah.
Rather than another reason.
Yeah, I think that's the idea is that,
Just to be
yeah,
clear,
So basically.
does that,
I don't think I mean, like, I haven't seen it, so judging from what you're saying, rezoning the whole thing is R wouldn't permit me to put a recreational facility on it.
it would with a special permit. So you'd have to come apply for a permit. When you do the site plan review, or whatever, that,
But in essence, if we do that and we don't ask them to rezone it to business, I mean, it's in essence business now,
I
right?
know,
The whole site.
right,
And if we push them to R, then I'm gonna assume, and I don't wanna speak for you, but that his project is probably done because you haven't bought the land, right?
What do you-
Well, I mean, are you the owner of the property or
You know,
you own the whole thing now? So you're invested anyway then. In it. So. But
So why would he be done?
well, if he didn't own it, I mean, and I was gonna do, if I was him and I was gonna do a business development,
Right,
I probably wouldn't buy it on the option that I may get rezoned or I may get a special permit to do it.
Mm,
I mean, you're limiting in essence he's tied to do residential. Which probably on that site facing 96 isn't as useful to the town or anybody else as business.
mhm. Mhm.
And we've already got a business
Yeah,
there. and
no,
it's a safer
I agree.
business.
I didn't even think that that was an option, but when we had lost or left the last meeting, my understanding was that the two options were R for Halseyville side and to let it remain as
DD three, right,
with a potential amendment to include the sports facility. Or R with B. I didn't even know that there was an option to rezone the entire lot as far. That's not what I proposed or asked for.
I mean, are we tied to saying it should be R, or are we simply
No,
trying to do that to kick the can down the road?
What it seemed like.
I'm just going off of the majority of the comments that came in, so if the board doesn't want to rezone the whole thing as R, then you could do. One of the discussions we had is, make a recommendation to rezone the western. Yeah, the western half to R and leave the eastern half as DD three with a code amendment to make. That.
make it cover for an indoor recreation. Because right now DD three does not, it's outdoor
Include that.
recreation, right?
There,
It's bar and trailers is all it is now.
No, I know,
Yeah.
but DD three allows for outdoor recreation unless I'm incorrect.
DD three can only have the barn, restaurant, and one mobile home.
right,
That's.
Oh, right, DD
Right.
three, sorry.
right.
Yeah,
There's two mobile homes on it now, but they're only to be maintained, not replaced.
Yeah,
I think doing, yeah, I think the reason it makes sense to do the whole thing R is because. Given the law, if you were to just rezone it to something. Without the special consideration of a business zone, it would automatically fall into what's there already, which would be R in the neighborhood. Cause it's R on either side of it in that neighborhood, even though down the road, there's B1. Yeah, and technical and that
There's,
type of
there's
thing.
also another DD across the street from it.
A what?
Another
I'm sorry.
DD3 across the street.
Across the street?
yeah.
Oh, the DD3,
nine-
right,
DD
right, right, right.
nine, yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
so I mean, it's not,
I know,
it's not
I know.
sitting, it's
Yeah.
not something new.
Well, part of
In a
the,
residential district, and
Yeah.
it's already a
It
business,
seems like
so.
it's.
yeah,
Seems like it's spot zoned right now. And making them look like R seems like another spot zone, right? We know it's gonna change. We know that R makes 0 sense on 96, given still the lumber and all the businesses up and down 96. It's not a suitable place for a home. It's not a safe place for a home.
There's houses right across the street.
I wouldn't want to live there.
Yeah, I wouldn't either.
well,
It's not marketable, put it that way. It's not as marketable for a home.
some of the reasoning behind the R zone list, public and private and community parks as a permitted use in the R zone with special use permit. And site plan review, which would facilitate the proposal of an indoor recreational facility. The applicant has not at this time provided a thorough analysis of the need to rezone the eastern half of the lot to B1 versus R for the proposed recreation use. So that's really the thought process into that of making the whole thing R. And then under R with a special use permit, fit the,
When there's more detail.
yeah. Fit your
Right.
indoor recreational facility in there, under essentially a community, a public or private community park, or a facility like that. Because even under the business districts, it doesn't address, there's a long list of things in there, but one thing totally absent is an indoor recreational facility.
If you called it an indoor fitness facility, would that make it
Yeah,
a business?
Yeah,
I mean,
Yeah,
that's,
yeah,
right,
that's not a,
yeah,
Yeah.
that,
it's a business. I mean,
Right.
it's a money-making business.
Right,
It's
it's
not a
not-
community recreation center.
Exactly, so it's not, that
Good
permit
goal.
that permit is meant for. Something that the community is going to use free of charge or.
Yeah, I would
And,
agree.
you know,
with
I
that.
would like to keep prices low, but it will be a for-profit business.
Yeah.
So it makes sense to me that the business is there. You know, if I had been asked to provide reasons why I should be B1, then I probably would have not mentioned a sports facility. But, you know, the discussion coming into the presentation was show us what you want to put there and the benefits to the community, which I thought that I did. Don't get me wrong, R1 is an improvement from BD3, but there's no impetus or driver for me to remove the dilapidated unsafe Bar Angus in the near future, and, you know, it continues to sit there because, you know, that was slated to be demoed this.
So my question is, why wouldn't it, you know, there seemed to be good support for the proposal. And if there's actually support for the proposal, why wouldn't we write a resolution that supports the proposal more and let the town board kick it back if they don't want to make that change?
My take on it, a little bit different from yours, is let's not think of the proposal, but what is the ideal state along there, period. I mean, zoning requires that the way our rezone back again would be that it would be all R. But what realistically do we think would be useful in that area? And it would be, I personally think it would be on the west and, yeah, west, thank you. My other west, and housing on the right, you know, would make more sense. But again,
You flipped it.
the following, yeah, right.
I'm just trying to make a common sense proposal, what I feel.
Yeah,
and
I mean,
what, you know,
what
the
would,
consensus.
if we were doing zoning again, I mean, that's just a a thought process. If we were just doing the zoning without knowing whatever anybody would do, it was just a blank field. What do we think makes logical sense to put there? More houses, or because of the businesses along the road, businesses? That's my leaning. Would be that.
I mean, I
say
think
that, I mean, correct, but you also have to make sure that it's completely compliant with the comp plan. That's.
That's the real issue, is the comp plan designates everything as.
There as
Ag.
ag priority. I
Yeah,
know.
but if-
That's yeah,
I mean, again.
but then we're
sense-
inconsistent, zoning is inconsistent with the comp plan.
Common
period.
sense right
Yeah.
now, right?
Right.
Zoned is GD3, it's not zoned as ag. There's been no farm activity there in decades.
Right. And it's a lousy,
And it's,
Field,
no one
yeah.
would want to farm there, so.
right, yeah,
The comp plan is scheduled to change, and I can't talk about it, what it's gonna be, but I assume it's not gonna be ag priority because it's.
yeah, I don't know if I don't know if I'd bet on that.
I-
Water District 1 was in the last time, well
leave that
before the
up to-
comp plan.
I'll leave that up to you guys, but like I said, it's not ag right now,
Yeah,
it doesn't,
hasn't been for a long time.
and
but
I don't know if anyone who would farm it.
How many total acres are there again, Mr.
14.
14.
Without? Okay, then,
Not all of it's buildable.
right,
There's a lot
but
of-
so without the wetlands, how much is there?
Well, no,
That's still.
including the buffers, you know, because then there needs to be a buffer from the wetlands, there's probably. That whole corner closest to town is not invisible really as it is, so. I had like 8 to 10 little acres there.
8 to 10 acres.
That's a really small field.
That's a really small farm,
oh, yeah.
you know.
Yeah. And then you
Yeah.
have runoff into those wetlands, and I'm sure they're environmental issue.
Yeah.
Right, right.
And it's blocked in, there's stream on both sides, both
Right.
ends of it as well, with buffers. And a wet, and a flood.
All right, to Linda's point, I think I could see where B1 makes sense on that, which had.
It was my
He's
understanding-
96,
Yeah.
Highway 96 side, yeah. the
Yeah.
east side,
It was
yeah.
my understanding that when we left, last time I know there's been discussion without me, but that. We're gonna put it to the town that there was a preference of R and B1 or R and leave DD3 with a. Caveat to add recreational sports facility, to your point, whatever you wanna label it. But I didn't know there was a
Yeah.
option on the table to rezone the whole thing, it's B1.
Is our,
So-
Would the town still have the flexibility to do what a lot of us seem to think makes sense?
Well, but since it's required to be compliant with current comp plan, which it isn't. That's the problem. So that's a legal constraint.
Yep, okay, but that does bring, let's put that question and the statement together. Can we not recommend it anyway and let the town
Right,
board look
the-
at it and say, yeah, maybe it doesn't, but it makes sense? Because unless we bring it to their attention, they're not aware of the use of every acre we have in town,
Yeah.
correct?
And if we say it should be,
If the community wanted this to remain as an agricultural priority area. And
it's never
what
been
is our
agriculture. It has been agriculture in the 40 years I've lived
zoning
here.
does not matter here. It's,
Even
we're
active
talking
use.
about what the
Right, the
community
comp plan. the
has
comp
voiced
plan
as
said,
their desire for that area.
Yeah, once upon a time,
It's not talking about zoning, it's about development, future development.
yeah.
When they voiced it, it was agriculture.
Comp plan
Not
is due
a-
for an update.
It is.
Well,
Yeah,
the full discussion in here, there's a lot about making it B1 and that sort of stuff, but when we get down to the final end. Is the shift to make it only R to be compliant with the comp plan. You know, I believe the town board, I don't know, I'm certainly not a legal scholar, I believe the town board has the authority to decide. Which way they want it to go, no matter what we
counter
give
comp
them
plan.
for a recommendation.
So your problem is that the comp plan says it's farmland or agricultural, land,
Agricultural
but it
priority
has been a business for the last.
since 1979.
Right.
So almost 50 years, you know, 40 plus years, yeah.
And
might have been a
B1 does
vegetable stand.
allow,
You know.
it says health clubs. and
Right.
that's Considered a health. club.
Right. So B1 would be, and there's businesses up and down 96 in both directions from there. So it certainly is not out of character for the neighborhood. You've got, you know, Flow Tech across the street is another business. But in strict compliance with the comp plan, I don't think it gives the planning board the authority to recommend something that doesn't comply with the comp plan.
Right.
At what point does the board have the authority to say, hey, this, in this specific situation, it doesn't make sense to rezone something that's currently business as residential when it should be business,
Right,
like it,
yeah, and that's a really good.
Who's to say it should be business?
every other business up and down.
I talk to the community about it.
Talk to the community about it.
I mean,
Or I'm gonna talk to you about it, I'm here to talk to you about it, not the community.
The
The-
comprehensive plan is the voice of the community, and we are here to defend that voice.
I mean, when's the last time the comp plan got updated?
2009.
2009.
And that was like a 5-year process, so whatever made it in there.
If you wanna take a poll of the community, who would like to see a business there versus a agriculture, I'm pretty sure I'd come out on the winning end of that.
Well,
Especially something that would benefit.
Neil?
Today.
Neil's.
Yeah, Neil, yeah, let
I
Neil.
think we
start.
need to give Neil a chance here.
The overarching question, hopefully not to go down too many rabbit holes, is we're stuck with what the zoning code says for rezone actions. And so it says upon the request from the town board for the planning board to review it, you know, a rezone request, the planning board shall and you can only make a recommendation to approve a rezone request following a finding that it's in conformance with the comp plan. So based on that section of code, you can't make a recommendation. I would find it interesting if the board could find a finding that says it's compliant, completely compliant with the comp plan to approve it. You can make a approval with a modification as was kind of drafted. And then on top of that, I think where everyone's getting is make another statement, like make another therefore, number 3.
Oh, okay.
Saying that it makes the planning board finds that based on the discussions above, it makes more sense to have the eastern half zone be one, but that would require comp plan land use map amendments. And that's something the town board then could do concurrently. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I like
Yeah.
that, yeah.
Because it ultimately makes more sense to have it as a business area, no matter what you do with it. You know, where it's physically located and that sort of stuff. And
Yeah, I like,
I support that, I mean, that allows me to get moving on the residential side of things, and the town is on the record that the planning board or as a whole, or by
Yeah, right,
majority,
right.
believe that it should be business in that location. My contention as well.
You know, I'm thinking back to when it was probably in its history as an agricultural priority area. If you look at the building that is there, very well could have been a vegetable barn or something like that to start. Got morphed into a bar, you know, for financial reasons.
Does it have a basement? You said it.
Oh, it
Yeah,
has.
it's all-
Yeah,
Oh,
it's all through, yeah, it's,
So it's,
The first floor is
yeah, that would have
Yeah.
been, that would have been,
wasn't very deep, but you could get hurt.
yeah,
Yeah, it's
or a chicken.
Yeah.
So do we,
like 6 feet deep.
to get back on the resolution here, do we add that third paragraph now, or do we put it off to the next meeting to make a formal decision on it?
Please,
I
no.
think we can make it.
If we can draft it now, I think it would be good,
I think, yeah,
and then move it to the town board and.
So if you take action today, we'll send it to the clerk tomorrow and it'll. I'm not sure when their deadline is, but it might be able to go to the town board next week.
Well, even if it doesn't make it their first meeting of the month, it'll make the last meeting of the month. Rather than stall it even farther.
Mhm.
So,
Did you want to say that statement again?
I would like to make a comment here, Mr. Doolittle. When you pointed at Simon over there and said you're not talking to the community, you're talking to the board. We represent the community.
I understand that.
Thank you.
or do you want to just type it in and then electronically send it around?
Yeah. I mean,
That's probably easier.
Oh,
Yeah,
You have access or.
Yeah.
You can share.
yeah.
oh.
You're
But
off
I
the
can
read.
read his
You
phone.
can read my phone.
I have another phone.
I got a new phone yesterday. and I don't have
Yeah.
the case on it.
Where in the comp
Don't get that.
was the discrepancy in this?
Well, the whole, if you go to the future land use
I
map.
did, I just read it.
And essentially, the bulk of the town is designated as agricultural priority.
Right,
And under ag priority, you can have, you know, like rural residential or residential.
Park features.
Right,
or recreation.
but it doesn't include business zone.
no, but it does say that the town can specify different areas for different uses.
Yes,
So agricultural land could be used if it, for residential or for business, depending on what the town board says.
right. Well, the town board can certainly designate what they want with it, but I think the planning board is tied. You know, we don't have the authority that the town board does.
We were asked to look at it in consistency with the comp plan. More than designating.
Well, the comp plan really doesn't say absolutely no, you can't do it. It just says, I mean, if you read the whole thing, it's not saying no, it's
No.
just saying. What parcels, I mean, if it's a farm, if it's agricultural and it's being farmed, then it's a priority, but if it's not agricultural and not being farmed, it's not a priority.
Yeah, but I think where Neil's is
Okay.
coming from was in the rezone section of the 212 zoning. I think it's in the rezone where we get in that we need to comply, we, the planning board, need to comply with the future land use map where the.
So, so the way we're stating it, that will be a good hedge. I think it,
Yeah.
you know,
And the
And
buildup
gives
in
the
there was
information.
that, you know, we went through a lot of the
think-
business purposes of what he's looking at and that sort of stuff. It's just, we're not authorized to make a B1 designation of it because it doesn't fit within the rezone directions for the planning board. We don't have the authority to make that change. We can certainly recommend it, it's, you know.
well,
Just the one line, however, this does not exclude future residential growth from occurring in these areas, which is
Right.
residential.
But yeah, that's residential.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah,
And the R or AR,
Is-
both of them work just fine.
yeah.
But it's the picky point about trying to make it a business that we don't have the authority to do.
There's currently agricultural areas in the town are characterized by a mixture of farms and residential development on roadside frontage.
The DDs were just created as separate entities to deal with things that didn't fit everything else.
So you should have it. I put it as a second sentence to the modification. So there's the first thing, modify it to R1. Alternatively, the planning board recommend the town board amend the future land use map for the eastern half of the lot to a land use designation that correlates to the B1 zone and rezone the lot as requested by the applicant.
Alright, see if I can get to this thing here. Should have just come in with the, yep, amended resolution. There we go. Hey, it's wordsmithing to keep it within what our authority is. And that's really what we're trying to do to accommodate Mr. Doolittle so he can make use of the property, which would be, I certainly feel good for the whole town to do that. And then,
Mr. Gregg pointed before, it. This is with the community in mind. Like, that's my goal.
Mhm.
all right. Did you get a chance to read it? Yeah. All right. So with that modification to it, then, do I have a motion to approve the resolution as amended? Motion made.
Second.
All in favor?
I,
All right. Okay, so then. Yeah, you're right. Now therefore, the planning board resolves the following. The applicant's proposal to redevelop the subject site with 3 residential dwelling units and a recreational facility will help address too much needed shortages in the community. Will greatly improve the aesthetic quality of the surrounding neighborhood and greater community and should be supported by the town board. And the applicant's proposal to rezone the site would help ensure greater public health, safety, and welfare for the community and would promote a greater long-term interest for the community over what is currently provided for in the existing zoning regulations and should be supported by the town board. However, insufficient information has been provided at this time to indicate the rezone to B1 over R is warranted. For the findings and reasons set forth above, the planning board recommends the town board approve the proposed rezone located at 2012 Trumansburg Road, tax parcel 20.3-1, subject to the following modification. Rezone the subject site in its entirety from Development District 3 bar restaurant trailers to R residential. Alternatively, the planning board recommend the town board amend the future land use map for the eastern half of the lot to a land use designation that correlates to the B1 zone and rezone the lot as requested by the applicant. All in favor?
I,
Opposed? Okay. Just- Motion carries 4-1. Next item, business item is Town Board Resolution 2025-58 and their notice to act as lead agency for a proposed land donation with a related minor subdivision and comment on the full environmental assessment form. Town Board received a proposal by Marion and Allison Pritz, owners of 5150 and 52, should be 5230, right? 5230 Cold Springs Road, yeah.
They have the wrong address in there.
Yeah, I'm slowly getting this down. 5230 Cold Springs Road to donate portions of their land for the purpose of establishing a town park. The planning board met on March 4th and March 18th to discuss the proposal and concurred that the town board should act as lead agency. With this process, written comments on the proposal are also solicited, must be received by the town board prior to April 3rd. I don't see either Liz or Caitlin either online or in present. Got back there. All right, follow the same process here and move the,
Well, this one we can go.
yeah, we had
right.
comments,
Yeah, we just go through the sections.
right? Okay. Let's see. I'm gonna make a motion to move the resolution to the floor. Second, all right,
Second.
okay. Comments on the full environmental assessment form for the coordinated environmental review for the proposed land donation and minor subdivision on Cold Springs Road. Planning board met on March 4th, March 18th, and April 1 to discuss the town board's notice of intent to act as lead agency and request for comments on the full environmental assessment form. March 4th, the planning board unanimously agreed the town board should act as lead agency for the environmental review for the above mentioned project. And on April 1, offered the following comments on part 1 of the full environmental assessment form. Section A, project applicant spawner, here's the street address of the property owners, listed as 5120 Cold Springs Road. Should be 5150. And the actual property that the other pole is coming through is 5230 Cold Springs Road. Section E, site and setting of proposed action, land uses on and surrounding project site. EB1 meadows, grasslands, current acreage is noted as plus or minus 0.34 acres. Acreage after project completed is noted as none. Change is currently noted as 0. To follow the pattern of the agricultural land use or cover type, appears the change should be noted as minus 0.34. And designated public resources on or near the site. Under E3 appears the checkbox for section H should be marked as yes. That's the only changes that we had to their full environmental assessment form. I guess, do we need to make this as a resolution to send it to the town board or just send it to them as a memo sign?
No, you can just do it as a motion to, right, me to give it to the town clerk. And you do that tomorrow.
We need a motion. We need a motion to direct Niels to give this planning board memo with the corrections to the town board.
Second.
Approved.
Aye.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Here.
For all of you sitting here, the town board is gonna make the actual decision whether to accept the land or not. Beyond that, anything to do to develop the land or anything like that, it's going to have to go back through public, get public support and actually public funding for it. Because at this point, there's nothing in the town budget to do the actual converting it into a park. It's very likely going to sit there as the piece of land it is now, for a fairly extended period of time. Just in the last year or so, town of Newfield finally got their park up and running, and it was a decade or more in the process. So it's certainly, I don't expect you're going to see anything rapid change on your road out there. But the town board will make the decision, and I think at this point, they're apt to say, we would like to accept the land while it's available. And then start working with the whole town after that to figure out if we can use it or not. Because if it falls through eventually, it would just go back to the current property owners. Because part of the deed restrictions are, it's a, recreational area. If it doesn't meet that, then it goes back to the landowners that it came from. And back to where we are now.
I just asked you.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing. First of all, I want to say, when you said this board represents the people, you did my heart good. The town board wants this, and they're gonna do everything they can to get it. But like I say, just the property needs to be walked. Part of it's the non-transparency. Give us some idea what you're talking about, is it, what part of the property, are you gonna be right behind the houses? Like I say, this entryway is huge. It would probably be a lot easier if they were just more transparent, and they've made it completely clear that there's no public vote for this because it's a
It's a
donation.
donation, yeah. But when it comes to trying to round up funding or grants and that kind of stuff, that has to involve the public with it. And that really drives the whole community to get together to say, how are we gonna make this function?
I think at this point, they don't actually have a physical idea of what it's going to look like.
And I'm sure they don't, Caitlin and Liz were in front of the zoning, but we have no plan. We don't know, but everybody that's supporting them, it's all about the ball fields and this and that,
Yeah.
Fritz's are from his mouth. That's one of the reasons they donated it. They were for it down on Crumbs Corner, so.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm passionate.
No,
about
that's
this, and I
fine.
don't
Well,
think
it's
that-
right next to your garage that it's going through.
Well, it's not just the garage,
Yeah.
like I say, it opens up. 3 sides of the property are wide open, so, but, I appreciate sitting in on this and listening to you operate. The zoning board was very good. This is incorrect for me to say, if you leave this up to the town board, that's going, but it depends on where you're at. But I appreciate your time and your consideration about all this. I mean, it's.
And not to get involved in Mr. Doolittle's business, but I really appreciate what you said the last planning meeting, kind of. Yeah, we can go ahead and we can grant this, but there's no plan, and how can you prove that this can be done? So why are we gonna change zoning or grant a variance on this flag lot that goes to this if there's no plans in place? Okay, so if there's no. Sorry.
No, I'm just.
Well,
So.
you can't have a flag lot without an access pole. You gotta have a means of getting to the existing highway. And so,
Oh, exactly, but what I'm saying is, there's no plans. So if there's no plans, how do you know what this road is going to service and what it's truly going to need to be?
Yeah.
And so it's like, yeah, you can go ahead and say, anybody can go at the zoning, whoever can say, yeah, go ahead and accept the donation, we'll change the zoning, we'll give you the variance for this. But I don't really understand how you can do that if you don't have plans for what it's going to service, right? Because it can't just be we can't just put in a construction driveway that goes down through and then we'll figure it out after the fact type of thing. So,
Yeah.
I like that point that you made last week, is like, you kind of got to have a plan before we can go ahead and say, okay, we can, so, yeah, thank you.
Thanks for your time.
yes,
Yeah,
yes.
I'll come up here because I can't see you guys. At the first meeting, at the town meeting, they, Ben Darfler was talking about compromise. And I see none of that right now, with them. I feel like I'm being listened to tonight. But I thought I had a really good idea for like a compromise. Like if they kept a big portion of the donation, a natural land, like for trails or apiaries or what else did I write? Just a natural area to, because we photograph birds and there are broad-winged hawks, there are screech owls, there are bald eagles, there are kestrels, which are falcons, all in the area, and they are shy birds. They won't stick around. That's one of my points. Also, if he sold some of the back property that butts up against us, they could use that for developing something. You know, I just feel like there should be compromise. It's kind. And I really think you all should go out and look, just, it gives you a lot better perspective. Thank you.
Thank you.
The other piece of what we're doing here is what we were asked to do is really to give comments about subdivision. Not about whether the land is donated or anything. It was really more or less about being able to subdivide. Well-
Such as what, subdivided in?
Well,
It doesn't
that,
matter.
that 38-foot piece to make the pole, to make the flag lot.
Well, the parcel
Yeah. yeah,
needs to
and
be
it-
subdivided into two, one for the house, the
Right.
existing house and his,
It's
Yeah.
not under the width that's required.
well,
The-
yeah,
the
that was
flag.
that's a separate issue again.
Yeah,
Yeah, but that wasn't, we weren't really approving that narrow, were we?
no, the BZA has to
That-
approve
yeah,
that.
we can't
We
do
don't,
anything
we
about
don't give
that.
any
We were just
variances.
saying, we're subdividing. Is the environmental form adequate? Yeah, because nothing was proposed to be done specifically yet. To it, so, yeah,
So on the project before, the comp plan was talking all about agricultural land. This is agricultural, land.
Right, real agricultural.
Realize it, just like you see
It's a
it,
cornfield, yeah.
right, right.
so. Is there a little problem here?
Well, the AR can have
Yeah,
parks. And,
But now we're taking away
Recreational fields.
agricultural land, which is a priority.
Yeah.
well, yes, there's always that.
So
dilemma.
on one case, we can't do it, and on the other case, we can,
But the fields are a permitted use in an AR.
but it still doesn't matter. On the comp plan, it talks about priority agricultural land.
Well, they've already offered to buy it.
No, no, no. I know
Yeah.
exactly what you're saying, but part of this whole thing, I think by flying under a park,
Yeah,
they can do about whatever they want with whatever
It
land.
didn't
I
say
appreciate.
anything. It didn't say anything about a park. It says priority is agricultural land.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
how could you say yes to one and no to the other?
that's right, because that's a zoning thing, the
right.
permitted uses, that's
But-
right, yeah. Yeah.
I'm
Good
sorry,
point, Mo.
I just looked at it. It says priority agricultural land.
Right,
Yeah.
If I may, if I may, as a liaison to the comp plan steering committee, this is something that you should have in the forefront of your minds to do a better job. You know,
specifying the.
specifying, do a better job.
With the comp plan.
Yeah,
that's on the record.
Well, because, I'm just, you're
Yeah.
talking about two pieces of property. One that is really a business and now now it's considered an agricultural.
Right,
And now you're taking agricultural and you're going to destroy that and make something else.
yes.
So
and that was.
That's the entire zoning ordinance.
I know, but I
Right,
just
I
don't
mean,
get
that's how
that.
the entire zoning ordinance is written, that it's agricultural land until the owner wants to do something else with it.
doesn't mean
You can
But that's
subdivide
not
it,
what the
do
comp
that.
plan says.
That's,
And that was the same,
Okay,
and that was the same.
I'm staying out of this.
Right.
I'm staying out of this. I wasn't.
Why
here
is,
for it.
okay, but you do bring up a good point. If that's what the comp plan says, and we're gonna stand on the comp plan, we gotta stand on the comp plan. Sorry.
I have one more comment.
They're growing
If
grass.
he sold that or a lot of it, it's a donation, right, to the community, he
Yeah.
could buy it. He could make lots of on a land that's not farmland, you know what I mean? He could use that money to buy fields in the area that's connected, that there's nothing up, you know what I mean? It's up by the resident, right in town.
So the people who started, and I'll speak from this because I used to be on the Taganic Soccer Club board. The people who started this came from the soccer club board, and it happened after the town voted down the Bond Act work at the school that would have included a pool and other stuff there. And the field tied to the rink over in Lansing, the enclosed field there, they upped their prices and things and basically pushed out people who weren't part of some of the stuff up there. And people have been looking for fields trying to make this happen for 2025, I gotta count backwards, 20 years basically. To go back and try to find a piece of parcel, so it's not as easy as driving around and finding a parcel for sale that's not ag land, that's big enough to support. And it's
And
people
use
have,
that ag land too.
but it's everything is, that's one of the
Everything.
problems. with
Yeah, the comp plan
and the
has
zoning.
everything. Yeah,
Oh,
No, we understand land is land and, but,
Yeah.
and the princess wrote a nice letter about, we'd love to have it in our backyard. Well,
it's not.
it's nowhere near the backyard. It's behind it's a tough subject and it's
Yeah.
just, you know, we've had a couple of neighbors up the road that haven't lived here long, but they're all for it. And, the home it's their vacation home and their retirement home, and it means just as much as my home does to me and yours to you. And you have a couple people, yeah, they do rent it out a few times a year to help pay the mortgage and the taxes, so. You know, we've heard that until it's a little sickening, it's this home is their home, so. There's a lot of passion here and we appreciate your time, I know this
Yeah, thank you
this
for
is more than
listening.
you wanted to talk about, but.
Thank you.
No, that's,
but at some point. it'll probably
you're
come back to
citizens and
us.
we're here to represent the citizens, so.
I feel different here.
Sorry,
So to your point that your recommendation to the town board or whatever, does it benefit us to continue to come to these meetings and still participate in these meetings? Will this be discussed in these meetings?
You should come to the comp plan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that,
And
Come to the new comp plan.
What is that?
We have one. tomorrow
Well,
night.
one tomorrow night, they're on
Yeah.
Zoom, so you can watch it from home instead of coming in person if you want.
Yeah.
Because we're in the process
Being
of trying to
different is
update
worth a
the
difference.
comp plan
Yeah,
for
I
the
think-
town,
but I
yeah.
appreciate you all very
Yes,
much.
thank you
Yep.
for listening.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's any sense in it, but I sincerely, whether it's out of your decision, I sincerely would leave you a phone number, and if anybody's bored and wants to come.
Well, if you
step
leave it
up-
with
Can you just
Neil's,
walk
we would
through
arrange.
it, if you're not there?
I prefer just.
Right.
To know
But
that.
Make
I guess
arrangements.
we've had a little issue with harassment since we're opposed to it. So we've got a lot of cameras and things, so I don't want
Okay.
somebody just out there and then
Oh,
I
okay.
can see.
But I'm a
and I
phone
can't tell
call
who it
away,
is.
but-
Yeah, well, if
So
you give it
just-
to Neil's, we can make arrangements.
Yeah,
through
because
him.
I'd like to walk it.
I would just welcome you and love you too. But here again, thanks for your time, I hope we didn't drag you.
Thank you.
Good night, thank you for showing up.
Yes.
Appreciate you.
Yeah.
Right on. This is my favorite one to zoom in on, because you guys are
That's a number, okay, oh, good.
talking and everything. Nice to meet you all in person.
Yeah.
Good night.
Since I realized there's hunting on both sides of the Black Diamond Trail. I thought it was best to run there with my dog. It freaked me out so much.
Very smart.
I saw someone sitting in a tree stand, like running, like.
It's a very narrow right of way.
Yeah.
I live on the back. You have to tell me.
The buffalo haven't been on the trail though in a while. The Buffalo Farm, they got out a couple of times and got on.
Are they still
Really?
there?
On the
I
trip,
think the Buffalo are gone.
since it's been,
They're
no,
up
no,
there.
they're still.
They're still there.
They're still
They're
there.
still up there.
Yeah, so they got out
Yeah.
at least once onto the trails.
Recently?
All right.
Not recently, but
Yeah, right.
Back to the meeting for a few minutes here. Any board member or staff reports? Your water committee?
Oh, the water committee? Well, we're coming down to a final draft. Herding cats, but we're getting there. And hopefully, and once we do, we'll present it to the town board, but I'll also bring it here. And give you a review. I don't feel comfortable doing it right now because we gotta get some other feedback. That's what it's, yeah. But it's in the offing, hopefully in the next month.
water through the whole town,
Pardon?
water through the whole town or districts.
Nope.
Along with sewer.
Yeah, right, and sewer.
Right.
Yeah. That's the key. The one thing though that we are doing is having a water and septic outreach program in May 28th. Right now is the target date, where we have CSI, Department of Health, Rural Water, New York Rural Water, and all sorts of folks talking about some of the results from the testing that we've done, and also giving advice for how to take care of it and trying to encourage people to, you
In a
know,
very generic way, have the tests been good or bad?
we've had the first, interestingly, this area has a really high level of E. coli outside of the norm that the Department of Health had typically gotten. So that's why they're encouraging people to test. And the other thing they found out, there's a lot of people that don't. We found out. There are people that just
Sorry.
don't test the water and you really need to. So,
You're required to when you sell a house or buy a house.
yeah, but
Yeah.
it's a little more than that. You gotta do it more.
More
More
frequently,
frequently.
Oh, yeah.
otherwise you're in the same house for 10 or 20 years. It could
Because
be a
people-
lot.
News to me.
Because, oh, yeah, see, that,
Circumstances.
then that's one of the
Yeah.
things, is there's a lot of people moving in that haven't lived on.
Yeah.
Wells
Yeah.
their entire life, and they don't know that somebody's bad septic system uphill, and everybody's probably downhill or uphill from somebody,
Mm.
can have an impact on your water. For me, I learned a lot from it, because, you know, like, I don't have any water background, and we have a lot of people that have water
Yeah.
experience, like Rebecca
Is she there?
and people.
Okay.
She had been, but lately she hasn't been able to participate. But, so we have a lot of people that know a lot about it, and rural water and the Department of Health have been really helpful. But they came back for a second round of testing for us, just to sample the area, because our E. coli was so high.
Mm.
Yeah, which was interesting, and they don't really understand why. But then we also have the problem down in the lake because of wells.
Everything runs to the lake.
So have they not talked about the spreading of manure?
That isn't seem to be it, and there's not a lot that we can
That's
actually do
surface.
about it.
That would be
Well-
surface water.
It's not,
For something to get into a well, it would have to be a septic system of some sort that's been leaching into the ground for a really long time.
yeah, it doesn't seem to be
You
that kind of
you
a
can type the E.
contamination.
coli too
You can.
by creature.
Right, but we didn't see it. Oh, I can remember now. We didn't see the high incidence of E. coli in areas that were contaminated, because really the contamination is on the fringe, you know, on the Schuyler County type side of it. That's where most of it is. You don't have much of the contamination coming down. It could flow down, of course, and it might be doing it, but it filters quite a bit. But there's a lot in the whole plan, talks about the kind of water, groundwater we have, and how all of that works. So there's a lot of information, things you learn that you never knew, and that there's no major aquifers that feed most of the wells. It's usually all groundwater too, and everybody has to like drill down through granite, which means they have high mineral, mineral content.
Yeah.
Yeah, in it.
Yeah,
So-
around here you boil water and it turns white.
Yeah,
Mhm,
It does,
mhm.
Yeah,
the drain pan
minerals.
under my dishes, I have to you know, I have to treat my tea kettle with vinegar every so often.
Yeah,
Replace your-
right.
Replace your shower head every
Right.
couple of years, 2 years.
Yeah, yeah. So anyway, so that's so this outreach is gonna try to start. The plan, part of the plan is to have continual outreach every year to train, because the population turns over, people change and they just don't know. And there's a lot of ancient septic systems around here that aren't
Yeah.
well maintained either. I know that, but yeah,
Cool.
so
Thank
stay
you.
tuned.
Excellent.
Yeah, a motion to adjourn.
You got it.
Whoa,
Oh.
hold it.
Okay.
Wait a minute.
We don't have any new applications for next meeting, so
I
we
think we
want
should
to
get
we
together.
cancel it or use
Jeff.
that.
Well, we
Sounds
could
good.
use it as a training.
I have no life anymore, so.
I would like to.
Sounds good.
Make a motion.
A motion to.
Make a motion to skip next meeting.
Well,
Second.
All right. All in favor?
Good.
Good, all right.
All right, now,
And I
make a
made
motion
a
for
motion.
tonight's meeting.
Yes, thank you.
Made a motion to adjourn.
All right,
Make that motion, second.
All right.
Aye.
all in favor of adjournment?
Aye.
All right.